This is my persuasion speech for column 210. The United States has nearly 25% of the world's incarcerated population, despite comprising less than 5% of the world's total population, states the Center for American Progress. The ratio is detrimental to our society and the conditions that imprisoned people are facing. An even more jaw-dropping statistic is that 1/5 people serving time are non-violent drug offenders, meaning 444,000 people are spending decades behind bars. The harsh criminal penalties for drug offenses began in the 1970s when the government started enforcing strict penalties, and Nixon declared a war on drugs. Once the war began, American incarceration population exponentially increased from 300,000 to 2.2 million people today. Nonviolent drug offenses such as marijuana are punishable to the extreme degree of other drug charges. The system is imbalanced, causing high jail populations, which leads to overcrowding. It starts with the federal marijuana policy that states on a federal level, all marijuana remains illegal. The federal government classifies marijuana along with heroin and cocaine as a Schedule I drug with a high potential for abuse and little to no medical benefit, according to the NCBI. The disproportional punishment, I believe, has caused more harm than marijuana itself has caused. Marijuana does not impair, injure, or disrupt society like other illegal substances. Yet it causes the majority of problems in our legal system due to massive amount of drug offenses. Rethinking the current federal marijuana policy, allowing nonviolent marijuana offenders to be let out of jail, is crucial to fixing the overload and overcrowded consequences in our legal system. This will physically and emotionally benefit society, prisoners, and the government officials that work in the penal system as well. America urgently needs changes, and I will break down two main issues causing rapid decline in the stability of the U.S. jails. It begins with overcrowding. For one, it's sanitation issues, lack of exercise resources, lack of medication, and healthcare. The severe punishments don't solve the underlying issues since they are primarily from socioeconomic inequalities in healthcare, causing drug or alcohol dependencies or other vulnerabilities to be propelled into the criminal justice system in custody. When their needs would be better addressed through health-led interventions, says the ICPA. If nonviolent offenders don't commit crimes similar in severity to the other prisoners, how can they be punished the same? They treat us like garbage, like roaches, an inmate said. Others complained about constant fights, the broken television, itchy blankets, soap that cause rashes, small food portions, and lack of activities. The small breakdowns in service that correction experts say most angers inmates. This can show that punishment does not equal better behavior or an environment for people. It is doing more harm than good. Another major concern is budget issues, as this affects the level of care that a jail is able to give the inmates and its staff. The lower the budget, the worse the jail's conditions are. It's easy to think that the prisoners deserve it, but we are all human, and inhumane conditions is something no one would want anyone they know or love to be in. A minimal budget can't support more people to feed, and they need more. Furthermore, a deeper-rooted issue resulting from strict marijuana punishment is the overload in our nation's legal system. The backup in court and trial systems leaves chances for important cases to take longer to get heard, and this leaves bad people out for a longer period of time to do more harm to others of their victims. So if you don't care about the inmates, care about the people and the victims that they hurt that are not being held because their perpetrator is not being put behind bars, is not having a quick enough trial, or being sentenced to court quick enough, because all these drug cases are in the system and clogging up our systems. The time wasted on weed offenses are injuring others, and there are so many other cases that judges could be working on. According to MIT Neuroscience, basic research has found that high levels of acetylcholine release during stress rapidly impaired the top-down cognitive functions of the prefrontal cortex. So I believe that when judges are overloaded and stressed, that this can affect their decision-making, because that's what's in the prefrontal cortex, and this can affect the verdicts of many of the perpetrators. As I mentioned previously, the increase of violence causes safety concerns for everybody. Guards are outnumbered, and the pressure is on for new cops to do a better job, and they are nervous and they don't know what they're doing. And according to New York Times, the officers say a major source of stress comes from being forced to work double shifts, and then others don't want to come in because of the lack of violence. This ratio gap from cop to prisoners is a safety hazard to both the prisoners themselves and other cops, as the cops cannot help each other or other prisoners from each other. I think that updating regulations in a jail, such as the climate, sanitation, and the occupancy, will help this. I think if we get less people out of the jail and release the nonviolent offenders, that will leave more for the more concerning inmates who actually need help, and that will also have better conditions for them in the jail. I think proper screening treatment and harm reduction to minimize risk is also important. If there's so many people, it's so hard to focus on everybody and get everybody the right health care and tested that they need. So preventing overcrowding will help this. So now both the internal and the external communities are benefiting to their fullest potential. Thank you.